Hello and welcome to the Institute of Responsible Wealth. My name is Frank Congilose. Our guest today is Peter Quinn. He is Vice President of Retirement Services with The Guardian. And
Correct.
Peter, welcome. It's great to see you.
Thanks.
And so our conversation today is going to be all about retirement planning and what business owners and entrepreneurs can do for themselves. In light of what's been going on in the economy, there's a lot of concern out there with regard to what future tax rates may be and how business owners can help to prepare for themselves and also for their employees and better prepare for retirement. So Peter, you know, you've been doing this now, as we mentioned, 30 years, and you've met with business owners throughout the years. I know you've been an advisor to our firm and to several organizations. And one of the things that I'd like to ask you is, what are you seeing that business owners are doing and some of the mistakes that they're making in setting up pension plans nowadays? Because certainly it's not like it was a few years back, and things change from day to day. So Pete, what are you seeing?
Well, I see a lot of business owners with kind of cookie cutter or boilerplate plans, and you know, a lot of the plans that they have for their companies really aren't meeting their goals and objectives. So if you have a business owner who is you know, looking to put away more money for retirement, but they have, you know, a basic you know, simple or SEP plan, you know, maybe they can't maximize their contributions. Or you have a lot of situations where business owners are trying to shift some of the cost to employees. So we see a lot of, you know, 401k plans being put on, but the problem there is if you don't have great participation from the rank and file, your owners can't put away the maximum. So, you know, probably the biggest thing that I see with business owners is not having the right plan for their company, and a lot of them just having the kind of plain vanilla type programs, and there's a lot more opportunities that are out there.
Peter, one of the questions that I have for you is that, you know, we've dealt with entrepreneurs, business owners for many years in the retirement area. And to us, it always seems like there's really not motivation by existing advisors to make a change in the plan. And the reason why we think there's not that motivation is because if someone's managing the assets, they're content just that they're managing what's ever there and they get new money every year. For the person who's managing the plan, it's like, hey, nobody asks, it's fine.
Right.
And then, you know, it just kind of goes on and on from there. And what are you seeing on your side? Are you seeing the same thing? And when you have an opportunity to actually visit with someone and do an evaluation of a plan, is it a little bit of a difference that you see as far as, you know, what someone's doing versus what they can be doing, or is it a dramatic difference?
That's a great question, because what we see a lot when we're doing those annual reviews or offering somebody a free review on their plan, you know, we see that they'll have the same type of plan that's set up today that they had 10 years ago when they adopted the program. And, you know, maybe issues with the company has changed, maybe the company's grown, and there's also a lot of legislative changes that we see small businesses not taking advantage of. You know, probably every 3 or 4 years there's a change that relates to the pension law, and for the last 10 years most of those changes have been positive. And we don't see, because the plans aren't updated on a regular basis, a lot of small businesses taking advantage of these new opportunities. A lot of them relate to you know, reducing some of the business owners' fiduciary responsibility, and they're, you know, real easy changes to make to the plan, but because their plans aren't being reviewed, they're not making those changes.
You mentioned fiduciary responsibility, and one of the things that I think is, you know, becomes common practice, or we see in the workplace nowadays, is that you'll have employees that end up with a 401k plan or some type of retirement plan, and people are picking and choosing their own investments. And what's interesting in that is that when they're not sure what to do, you know, they're doing emotional investing, and maybe you can tell them, you know, what happens when they do that. But I also see that they'll go to someone in HR or their manager, or they'll go to the owner of a company, and those people start to help them and give them guidance on what's going on. And is there a liability there? Is there a concern that someone should have?
Sure. You know, that's a big concern. If you know, if someone's making investment recommendations for the employees, they are a fiduciary, and you know, I think what we're trying to help most small business owners, one, make them realize that as a trustee of the plan, as a sponsor of the plan, as from them adopting the plan, they are a fiduciary, and what they want to do is put things, as many things in place to reduce their fiduciary liabilities. One thing with a 401k plan is just having, being able to offer a wide range of investments. And a lot of people will think, okay, we offer a wide range of investments. We're 404c compliant, which is a government term for having those wide range of investments, and okay, I'm not responsible anymore. But it goes a lot a lot further beyond that. I mean, you can have an employee that could still come back to the owner and say, well, you know what, I wasn't educated, even though I had all these investments to choose from. I'm not an investment expert, and I lost $20,000 or $30,000 in my 401k plan, and I'm going to blame you. Again, there's been recent tax law changes that allow business owners to default employees into an investment that would get rid of that fiduciary responsibility. So rather than going into a 401k plan where we do an enrollment and we say, hey Frank, you have these 20 or 30 investments, pick where you want to invest your money, maybe 5 different funds. Now by defaulting people into an account, maybe it's a target date fund or maybe it's a managed account, you're putting them into an account that somebody will do it for them. And what the government says by doing that, if we default you into an account, if the money's in that account, the fiduciary responsibility is off the business owner. So something real simple like that, defaulting people into an investment and giving them the opportunity to have somebody invest the money for them, that reduces the risk on the business owner.
Peter, you mentioned qualified default accounts, and it sounds something that's very simple, but yet, are people doing it? Are they even aware of it? And what are you seeing out there?
Great question, because the default accounts have been around since the Pension Protection Act of 2006. So we're looking at 5 years now. And basically, what the Pension Protection Act did was put into law this QDIA, Qualified Default Investment Alternative. And basically, what it allows a business owner to do, as I mentioned earlier, is to default the employees automatically into an investment and force them that if they don't want to be in this account, to jump out of that and go into one of the 20 or 30 funds that are offered in the plan. But what we see when we're doing a review on an existing plan is that this tax law change has been around for 4 or 5 years now, and most employers haven't adopted it. I can't think of a negative to adopt this program, because if the employees want to invest in the 30 or 40 funds that are in the program, they can jump out of the investment account and pick 4 or 5 different investments for their 401k. But just by offering it, it's reducing a lot of the liability from the business owner. So there's really no downside for a business owner to do it. But just as you said, most of the plans we're looking at, they haven't adopted that QDIA. If
we look at that a little bit further, is if I amend a plan, I put that provision in there and so forth, are you finding that they're adequately communicating that then to employees as it relates to, is it just something that gets kind of put into a plan document, or when you get your documents updated and nobody knows that it's actually in there, or are employers actually coming out and educating their employees? I think there's more education when you're doing things like that, because I'll give you kind of a quick example of how it was done before and how it's done now. When you're enrolling a 401k plan, we'll usually come in and do an enrollment meeting, talk about how great the 401k plan is for saving, and here's all the different investments in the plan, and if you're a conservative investor, these would be the funds that you would typically go into. If you're more aggressive, it would look more like this type of a portfolio. And still, for a lot of employees, this is their first exposure to investing, and they are like, well, I'm not sure what to do. I'll wait till next year, or I'll talk to somebody and then come back. And we see a lot of employees not taking advantage of their 401k plan because they're
not comfortable with it. They're not, they don't know enough about it. And the nice thing about the QDIA is that, typically what we're going to do is automatically default people into an account and then force them to opt out of it. And by doing that, we're getting a lot more participation because, they'll have to make that election to opt out, and most people wind up, staying in to wherever they're defaulted. If they're defaulted as a certain percentage of their salary going in, they stay at that percentage. If they're defaulted in a particular investment, they stay in that investment.
Peter, if we were to just summarize for business owners like a top 3 or top 4, items on a punch list of what they should be doing at this point, after hearing this interview that we put together for them, what is it that they should be doing?
When we're going to go through and offer a review on the plan, I like to kind of do almost like a 3-part audit. Part 1 of the audit is, is the plan meeting your objectives? And what I mean by that, do you have the right plan for your company? If you have a profit-sharing plan and the business owner is putting in all the money, but you're looking to shift some of the cost, maybe profit-sharing plans isn't the answer. Maybe it's a 401k plan where the employees are participating. If you have, a 401k plan where you're putting away the 16.5 deferral limit and you're getting a match, but you're a business owner and you're looking to put away a lot more money, $100,000, maybe it's some type of a defined benefit plan that would make sense. So part 1 of the audit is, is the plan meeting your objectives? The other thing that I would look at, part 2, is the investments. Do you have the right investment lineup? Do you have, a 401k plan that has funds from just one fund family? Maybe you're not getting enough diversification. How's the performance on those investments? Are you meeting with what the benchmarks are doing? And what are the expenses on there? A lot of these plans have been put in place 10, 15 years ago, and maybe they're at a point where there's enough money in the plan where those expenses can be reduced dramatically. And I guess the last thing, Frank, that I would think that an employer would want to look at is making sure that their plan's in compliance. Are your documents up to date? Is the plan running smoothly? Is it running in a compliant manner? Those would be the 3 things. The objectives of the plan. Are you meeting the business owner's objectives? How are the investments doing? And is the plan compliant?
So in summary, what we suggest to you as a business owner is that you really take a look at what the retirement planning opportunities are. If you currently have a plan, is your plan meeting your goals and objectives? And the second part is, if you don't have a plan, perhaps it might be time for you to really look into doing something as it relates to a plan. And the reason being is, number 1, your largest asset for most business owners, when you see them out there, Pete, is usually their business.
Right.
And if you've done nothing but totally invest in your business, which we do advocate is maintain that your largest asset, you may not have proper liquidity, proper diversification, and you might not have a great exit strategy in place for how you get out. The second part is that as we continue to run against the wind as it relates to state and federal deficits, debt that we're dealing with, retirement is becoming more and more the responsibility of every individual, whether it be the business owner, whether it be your employees. By providing them an opportunity that they can do something for themselves and that you can do something for yourself, it gives you really the best of all worlds, which is maximize your business over your lifetime, get the most that you can out of your retirement plan, and do it in such a way that it's sufficient, as Peter described, and that you get the best returns that you can. So we thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to providing you more messages from the Institute of Responsible Wealth, and have a great day.